Okay, well, just go ahead and get started. I did want to start out by saying that because a couple of contractors weren't able to make it today, we are recording this session, so it'll be available for viewing, obviously by yourselves. We'll make the link available through AE Graphics, probably later today or tomorrow, whenever AE can get it up. So I wanted to alert everyone to that. My name is Angeline Koch. I'm the MPS Sustainability Project Specialist. I'm also the project manager for these grid infrastructure projects. This will be our third cohort of projects, which is pretty exciting. And I came on board just before cohort 1 was constructed in 2019. So I'm happy to see some familiar faces. It's exciting that we have repeat contractors coming to work with us and produce these really, truly wonderful projects for the district and the city. Couple housekeeping things. We are going to go through a couple notices about that apply to all the projects across both bid packages. And then I will turn it over to Kara with Stormwater Solutions Engineering. She is our consultant for this cohort. She was also our consultant last year. So there's a lot of great knowledge that she has, a lot of great upgrades in our design and approach and our specs. So hopefully those who are repeat bidders will see some improvements and some streamline to our documents. We'll approach it as Kara will be presenting each project. During that time, you can keep track of your questions. You could drop questions in the chat, but we'll save the Q&A period for after conclusion of all 5 project presentations. That way we can kind of move efficiently through each of the projects. But please take advantage of the chat to kind of keep track of your questions. We'll review those during the Q&A period. When it is time for questions and answers, you'll see at the bottom of Zoom does have a raise your hand feature, so we can use that to kind of go through questions. And then I'll ask everyone to put themselves on mute so that we don't have the background. That'd be great. We are going to have the questions typed up and kept track of. Q&As will be provided in an update to AE Graphics, so we'll kind of keep track of all of those and have the answers available through AE Graphics. So I think that before we start in earnest in the presentation, I would like everyone to introduce themselves. I'll kind of go through and call your name, but please also in the chat, maybe you can write your name and company as well, because that's a great way for us to keep record of who is here. We have a number of great contractors and subs here, so that's a great way for us to kind of see who's who and who's here. So I'll go ahead and start that. Let's see. So when I call your name, you want to unmute yourself, and then I'm just going to go in order of how I see you in my tiles. John LaPointe.
All right. Good morning, everybody. John LaPointe with GRG Playscapes. We'll be offering materials and perhaps construction services for some of the natural play and log features. So we're happy to partner with any of the general contractors on the project to help, like I said, with materials or specific construction needs.
Thanks, John. And Susie, do you want to introduce yourself and your role with GRG?
Sure, I work with John. I'm in sales. I do a lot of our communications with clients. We've had the pleasure of working on MPS projects over the last 2 years, and we're very hopeful that we'll be able to engage with these projects again this summer.
Thank you, Susie. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Hans. I am a sales rep for Keeper Goals. My sales associate, Steve Lawrence, did work with Kara a little bit on some of the last, he bid some products. We are spec'd, we rep the JW Industries, so we're spec'd for some bleachers in some of the bids and looking to bid on, we also do site furnishing, athletic equipment, et cetera. So we're looking to bid on some of the products in the projects.
Great, thank you. Jamie? Jamie, you're still muted. You wouldn't mind unmuting? Thank you.
There we go. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, we, Bowman and Vic or BV Tetzloff, site utility work, so installing storm sewers to the ponds and the features around the area.
Thank you. Nick M.
Hi, I'm Nick Monazon with Groundwork Milwaukee. We're just interested in green infrastructure education and learning more about the COIN program, partnering with MPS Youth. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jay Davis. You can unmute. There you go. Jay, you're still muted if you are Jay Davis. Let's go over to Jim Barrett. It's like Jim Barrett, you're muted. Brian Tedding.
Hello, Brian Tedding from Mid-City Corporation. We do site utility work, underground work, and are interested in the project. So thank you for having the meeting.
Thank you. Blue Skies. Blue Skies, if you want to unmute yourself. Eddie.
Hey everyone, it's Eddie from Eddie's Landscaping. Hope you guys are all doing well. Looking forward to this year.
Yeah, thank you. Kurt at Rams.
This is Todd Ormiston, Kurt from Rams Contracting, or Earthwork Contractor.
Great, thank you. And for those that I called on and weren't able to talk for whatever reason, if you again could use the chat to drop in your name and company, that would be great. And then I wanted to introduce Kara, or I guess Kara can introduce herself and then maybe pass it over to Justin.
Hello, I'm Kara Klock. I'm with Stormwater Solutions Engineering. We were the lead engineers on this project and looking forward to working with some contractors this summer.
Thanks, Kara. And Justin.
Justin Haggerty, Executive Director of the nonprofit Reflow. Reflow helps to raise funds for the projects, come up with the conceptual planning, and support the project through the original ideation all the way through completion. So thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you. Kara, next slide, please. So we're going to be reviewing today. There are 5 projects split between 2 bid packages. Bid package 1 is AAL over in the far southwest side, Bayview Montessori in Bayview, and Escuela Fraternity in River West. This bid package is due February 25th at 1:30. Please try not to submit at 1:29 and 30 seconds, split seconds. Try to get in a few minutes before just to avoid any last minute tech glitches. Questions are due the 18th, and you submit them to our DFMS procurement mailbox. And those 3 are pretty straightforward: green infrastructure, outdoor classroom spaces. Bid package 2 is due a few days later, March 2nd, also at 1:30. And this is 2 schools, Allen Field Elementary and North Division High School. Allen Field is a little west of Walker's Point, and North Division is just north of downtown in like the River West Harambee area. Those questions are due to us on the 23rd at noon to the same DFMS procurement mailbox. In addition to today's bid walkthrough that's virtual, we are going to have an in-person walkthrough at Allen Field on Thursday at 9. This is because Allen Field has a unique feature installing a doorway from their school library to their interior courtyard. So I thought contractors might want to take a look at what that doorway, where it's going, and the approach and what it looks like. So we'll meet at 9 a.m. on Thursday at Allen Field. You will need to be, of course, wearing masks. And we'll have probably not more than 3 or 4 people go into the library in the school, take a look at the library and the door access, planned door access, and then we'll have questions, you know, in the gym. But that's 9 o'clock for Allen Field only. Next slide. Just a review of the contract compliance services. Across the board, this is for each project. Again, these requirements are outlined in the A graphics big documents. But it's 10% hub, 15% coin. Student employment for each project is 100 hours, and educational activities for each project is 10 hours. The contact for CCS requirements and alternative placement for student employment, you can contact Claudia at that number there. The mailbox for CCS is a 505, then at Milwaukee, .k12.wisconsin.us. We do have some really great alternative placement for student employment. So it should be pretty easy to take care of that. Student educational activities are like, you know, mock interviews. They're pretty varied in their opportunities to engage with educational activities. Claudia's not here, they couldn't make it, but if you have any specific CCS questions, you can please, you know, ask them at the end or drop them in the chat, and I can get the answers from Claudia, or you can contact her directly. And then with that, I did want to say that your contractors can bid across bid packages and submit more than 1 bid. So you're not limited to just 1 project. If you want to bid on 3 of the 5 across bid packages, that of course is possible. And it's a great way to kind of realize some efficiencies in bidding and effort. With that, I will turn it over to Kara to start the presentation of the projects. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll start with AAL. This is the second year that it's seen some upgrades. Last year we removed, with a different grant, we removed some asphalt in the locations. If you guys can see my cursor, here we put in some turf grass, and then also bioswales in 3 different locations. Generally across the board, there's a lot of asphalt. Looking to do improvements, I guess, across the entire site. So there's a portion of the asphalt that's already removed, but we're looking to remove the additional asphalt here, all of the asphalt in this location, and asphalt in this location. And part of the base bid for this one, there's 2 large bioswales, 1 location here and here, which are located around catch basins in those 3 different locations as well. Also part of the base bid would be the walking paths with edging, the mulch surfaces, and then this chain link fence relocation, and of course all the landscaping that is associated with these 2 areas, or this area as well. The chain link fence currently goes out to here and across, but we're looking to remove all of that chain link fence, relocate it so it goes along north-south this way, and then reorientate the parking in this location. So that was part of the base bid. There's a few alternates for AAL. The first alternate is a shade structure in this location. It's going to be, if everyone is familiar with the what we did last year, we had a monoslope polygon structure that was spec'd out, and we spec'd out the same structure here, and we were able to secure the engineering drawings for those. So that's not something that if you were to go with a polygon structure, that we could work with you to use those engineered drawings. The alternate 2 would be all the wood elements. So we have the nature play here, the willow tunnel, the log seating, the reading nooks, and a log border. And then those details can be found in the landscape plans. And then the alternate 3 would be this whole area over here where there's an existing tennis court in this location, an existing tennis court here, looking to remove all of that asphalt, resurface this whole area, put in new chain link fence around this area, and then only convert it to 2 tennis courts instead of having all 4, and then opening up the fence here and creating an entrance through into the playground over here, and adding basketball courts, or basketball hoops, 2 of them in this location. So all of that work is part of bid or alternate number 3. Just some general photos. The asphalt that was removed last year, looking to get continuation of more asphalt removal. This is the chain link fence that needs to be removed and relocated. One thing I'd like to point out, we did have a sewer investigation done on this property. The survey wasn't fully clear on where some of the utilities were going. So we had a contract and we investigated some of that, and we will be cleaning out the sewers within the playground prior to construction. There's debris in some of these storm sewers, and there is an electrical line that we found, and you'll see it on the site plans. I was going to zoom in, but that won't work. There is an electrical line that we found that goes through the storm sewer here. So we'll end up bulkheading the storm sewer in this location that's within the bioswale, and we'll just leave it in place. And we'll just build the bioswale around that sewer. The next one is Bayview. Very similar, I mean, across all the boards. We're looking at majority asphalt removal and grading. Here we have 4 bioswales, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this bioswale here has an underground cistern that is connected. There is a trap manhole here. So that underground cistern includes a new vault manhole that will get connected to that sewer. Here, same walking paths with edging. Here we also have a brick border. This is something similar that we did last year at Clement, where the school had some bricks that were engraved, and we supplemented those bricks and created a border. So there will be some coordination on the amount of bricks that we have, or that the school is interested in obtaining for that. Also here, here we have like an amphitheater classroom. This is a concrete stage here. This is another classroom in this location as well. And grading in this area just generally to kind of make sure that sheet flow kind of flows off of this area. They want to use this area for soccer or kind of field games. We have some field drains within this location, and you'll see that in the sewer plans. Also, and a new little feature here, we're calling this the stormwater conveyance. Currently, this is the low point within the asphalt playground. So all of the stormwater is going to come this way. It's going to come into this location. So we want to make sure that we kind of channelize it to bring it into the bioswale. This little feature will look very similar to a cobble inlet channel that we have with the 6 to 8 inch cobbles and gator dust between the voids to kind of secure the stones in place. There's also something here. Right now there's a flagstone kind of concrete wall. You can go back. You can kind of see it here. We're looking to potentially reuse all of those stones. Whoops, wrong. For the walking path right in here. So there's natives within this location and bioswales, and we want to reuse those flagstones from this location as the pathways. The alternates, right now, alternate 1 is the bioswale underground cistern with this diversion. We're looking at redoing this, rethinking what this looks like. We are not allowed to divert the stormwater into the property, so we will be kind of changing this up, but it's going to remove the bioswale and the underground cistern. The alternate 2 is this garden classroom. Right now, this is all sod in this location, but we're looking to put in some crushed aggregate here and just mulch surfaces so we can relocate the planter boxes and in the future add picnic tables and stuff like that. Alternate 3 would be all the wood elements throughout the site, the seating, the borders, and nature play, everything that's kind of identified there.
Kara, can I just jump in real quick? Can you just go back to that last one? So to be really clear, what Kara just said is removing the bioswale and underground cistern, alternate 1 on the left-hand side. There still is a different underground cistern that Kara mentioned. To be clear, that's where she's pointing it out. So there still is an underground cistern. That's something that we'll need estimates for or bids for. Just to be very clear, we're not completely removing all of this underground cisterns, just one of them. Thank you.
Just another look. So this is kind of where that that stormwater feature would come in, the bioswale, and there's that outdoor classroom here. And this would be one of the locations of the bioswales around this inlet. The next school would be Fratney. Similar, removing asphalt. All of this asphalt is going to be removed, same within this location. We only have one bioswale here, and that bioswale has an underground cistern in this location. We're looking at one thing that's kind of, there's some chain link fence removals here. There's a kickball chain link fence removal here, relocating a chain link fence here, and yeah, relocating it along this edge so we can, currently it kind of shuts off this access point, so we want to kind of move it out. In this one, all of the nature play is part of the base bid. So we have a few nature play areas here. The log borders is also part of this base bid, and some freestanding benches. And then the mulch surfaces, and we have crushed granite with edging there. The alternates for this one. So this is kind of what we were just looking at. On the northwest side of the property, there's an outdoor classroom. Right now, this is all grass in this location, but looking to kind of remove some of the grass and put in crushed aggregate or granite pathways and a classroom space, some stump seatings, and seating along here, and then having a wood stage in this location, along with all of the landscaping. Alternate 2, currently there's a rubber surface for this tot lot. We are looking to resurface that, so remove all of what's currently here and just replace as is in for this alternate. And then alternate 3 would be the this whole entrance relocation. So right now the entrance kind of comes up this side, and this is their main entrance here. They want to have it so there's a main entrance from the street. So removing this concrete, putting in concrete here, and then they have an existing sensory garden with some benches in here already, but looking to expand that and bring it all the way to this entrance. There's some other removals. There's some concrete stairs here that will need to be removed as well. And you can kind of see, so this is that main entrance. They want this pathway more defined, remove the pathway that's a little bit more to the south, remove the stairs access here, and extend that sensory garden all the way up this way. This is just a picture of what the playground looks like. Oh, for other site furnishings, there's basketball hoops as well. And yeah. This is Allen Field. A couple of years ago, they had some of their asphalt removed and replaced with grass and sod, or topsoil and sod. But they have had some issues with drainage. You can tell by this figure here. So in, kind of diverting all that stormwater kind of comes from the school to this area. So we're looking at putting in some bioswales, intercepting that stormwater before it comes onto this field, and kind of regrading it so there's more of a pitch to it, so all the stormwater runs off of the site. So asphalt removal, this one is pretty minimal, but we have 2 bioswales here and here, and then we have 2 rain gardens, one along the top lot and then one along the asphalt parking. This one also includes the mulch surface in here, and this one has an underground cistern. 3 bioswales, I think I said 2. All that's part of the base bid. And then for the alternates, in the plans, there's architectural drawings for the entrance, the new entrance from the library to the center courtyard space. So that's in this location. Alternate 2 would be everything that's kind of in this classroom, this courtyard space. We have a pavilion that we have proposed here, which is different than the other structures that we've spec'd out. One thing about this courtyard space, the only entrance is a door through the kindergarten classroom at this point. So we have to come down. There's a ramp here that comes into this basement, and we'll have to go through some doorways. So we worked with the manufacturer to make sure that the different components could be brought in by hand to this location. And also we're looking at mounting it with bolts instead of having to put it in footings. But all of that will have to be designed. We don't have the engineered plans for that. And then some landscaping. There's some existing planter boxes here. There's 4 of them. Plantings in these 2. Relocating, there's like a sand, play sand in there, and then converting this into a discovery nook and doing some painted play for the tricycles. And then alternate 3 would be to resurface this area with permeable, or not permeable, just rubberized surface in here, and then the nature play. Currently, this is all EWF, so that would have to be removed and replaced. This is a picture of what that outdoor classroom looks like. That doorway would be located approximately through here. That discovery nook would be one of these guys. These would be planted in sand in this one. Just another location of the schoolyard. And then we have North Division High School. This one, the main stormwater feature would be permeable pavers with an underground cistern in this location. So there's existing tennis courts here. All of the runoff kind of comes off of the tennis courts. We have some details to kind of manage that runoff from that tennis court before it goes into the permeable pavers. And then all of the landscaping in the front, that would be part of the base bid along with the walking paths. One's granite and one's mulched. And then this would be, we'll go on to the alternates. Alternate 1 would be this classroom here. Currently, there's some trees that need to be removed, the sod and some pavement needs to be removed as well. Putting in crushed granite and some planter boxes with some plantings and picnic table seating. Alternate 2 would be the classroom along down here. This would include all replacing the grass along this chain link fence to be plantings, and then relocating the entrance up the side so it's a little bit more uniform, and putting in some seating in a classroom space here. Alternate 3 would be resurfacing the track. So removing all of, milling all of the asphalt and then resurfacing. We have details on that. And then alternate 4 would be installing 3 bleachers along the side. Just some photos, kind of close-up area. The permeable pavers would be along here, a rain garden along this way. And then, yeah, we have this, I'm calling it a Riverstone pebble splash zone, so that it's kind of, when the water comes off of the tennis courts, it's not eroding our rain garden feature. And then this would be the location for the bleachers and resurfacing the track. This is the location for the outdoor classroom 1. There's some more pavement removal along here. And then, yeah, removing these dead trees and, you know, reconfiguring that area. And then in the front, re-landscaping in the front. And then the outdoor classroom 2, adding in new concrete along kind of closer to the chain link fence. This you can't quite see on here, but it's removing all of this concrete, putting in sod, and then we have some like concrete precast seating to install along in the spot. And then this little current seating brick thing will have to be removed. If you worked with us last year, there's just a couple changes that I want to make note of. The bioswales, last year we had the media all the way to the ends. This year we're just doing adding the media and the storage aggregate just at the bottom of the bioswale. So the side slopes would be all topsoil. We also added buffers in locations where we have potentially like the log borders, where we have the posts that will need to go into the media. So creating a little bit of a buffer so it's not right in the bioswale. We have the cobble channel inlets. I made a note to make sure that they extend 2 feet into the bioswale. So the length varies depending on, you know, their locations. And then we added an asphalt curb. This is only around the bioswales. And here too, kind of seeing from year to year that the runoff doesn't necessarily sheet flow nicely into the bioswales. So having kind of removing that, you know, 1 foot around the bioswale and replacing with a curb, just something that's rolled that we can divert the water into these inlets. So instead of having inlets all over the place, we have, you know, specifically targeted sections where there's those cobble inlets, and then creating a curb-like feature that will kind of help divert the water to those inlets. The flagstone pathways, we have them through some of the bioswales, adding gator dust. That helped tremendously last year. It was something that we did and it worked very well. The horizontal log borders. Last year we had the black locust post as post, but here changing it up, putting in using 4x4 pressure treated lumber will help save on costs for that. And then the crushed red granite, we are not having a stabilizer. We did this at Golda Meir last year, and it seems to be working well. We still want the really fine material, and I think there was like 1 or 2 suppliers out there, but make sure you submit. We don't want the larger stones in that. Some of the cisterns, they're not, so this chamber is used at North Division and Brantley. I'm open to other, alternatives as well, or materials. But this is just kind of in the storage underneath the bioswale or the pavers, just providing extra storage for those in those locations. So it's not lined on the top. We just have a filter fabric, drainage fabric on the top that you'll see in the details. And then at Bayview and Allenfield, we have the Aquablock system. We installed this at Golda Meir last year. At Bayview, it is under a bioswale. So here we have just a drainage fabric on the top with some pea gravel before the media is put on top of that. And then at Allenfield, it's under in the grassed area. So we actually have it completely sealed through the top. So the whole thing is lined. It's not just lined on the bottom and the sides. So those 2 details are a little bit different. I guess these are just some example pictures. This is of that 4x4 pressure treated wood for the log borders. Some of what the nature clay will look like, the amphitheater log seedings, and MPS does have a supply of ash logs. This is at Vincent High School, so we can coordinate on potentially using some of these logs in some of the designs. I think that's it.
Thank you, Kara. That was great. I love the slides with the updates. Just fantastic. I also wanted to note that for the plans that are at AE Graphics right now, that references some striping, but the striping sheets are not there, particularly for AAL and Fratney. Those striping, seal coat and striping will be updated shortly, those plan sheets. Basically, it's going to be similar to what we saw at Clement last year with some bike paths and some, more colorful, hopscotch. So look for that. And then as well, at the same time, we will update that Bayview alternate 1 with the removal of the underground cistern and bioswale and the plan for more of an outdoor classroom feature that Kara referenced earlier. So those are a couple updates that will be coming out this week, hopefully, for across both bid sets. So we can open it up for questions. I don't see that any questions were asked in the chat, but if anyone wanted to ask any questions, they can either write it in the chat, they could submit it to the DFMS procurement mailbox, or you can ask it now during this presentation. So I'll open it up for questions if anyone has any. Or Justin, anything else you wanted to add to the presentation? Any updates you have while people think about any questions?
Yeah, the one thing I'll just add is if there is interest, Reflow provides, as a nonprofit, can help support student engagement opportunities. I'll add my email into the chat if there's interest in having support for that effort. Thank you.
There's a question from Mr. Barrett about the ash logs. Yes, the logs, they're available through MPS. They're at Vincent High School. I don't have an estimate. That picture pretty much shows a fair amount of the volume, right, Kara? It would just be they would be free, the material. You would just need to coordinate pickup to use a log borders. But yes, they're available through MPS. We don't have an exhaustive supply, but I think we have a fair amount. Would you say, Kara?
Yep.
Thanks, Sarah, for your question. Sarah asked if we're accepting alternates for furnishing projects like benches, planters, and picnic tables. Yes, you would send that through to Kara, and then we would make it available through the A graphics, the question, and the update if an alternate is accepted. So that would be available to everyone. Yes. Great. If there's any questions about Thursday's walkthrough at Allen Field, let me know. Also, while MPS buildings are closed, our playgrounds are open to the public. So if you did want to take a look at something on any of these playgrounds, you of course can do that. The buildings themselves are closed, but I think that only really apply to Allen Field and that courtyard area. But Kara had a good picture of what that courtyard looks like. Otherwise, feel free to take a look at the sites. And then also, cohort 1, Kara had a nice picture. If you're interested in seeing what some of these features look like as built, I mean, they're under snow, of course, but, feel free to look at the past projects as well. Those are Clement, and you can look at those through the Reflow website, reflow.com, right? Justin can drop in. They have several pictures of before and afters that were taken in the summertime and fall. So if you want to take a look at what an amphitheater looks like, or the monoslope, or the crushed red granite, feel free to access that website and flip through those projects to help inform your bidding and kind of what we're envisioning.
I have a quick question about the log materials. Are you intending to have all the materials be ash this year? Are some going to be locust, some ash? If you could explain the intentions there, that would help clarify it for us.
Yeah, the amphitheater locations, those would be the black locust stumps is still. In areas where we have the log borders on the asphalt, those can be ash. So the log borders with the pressure treated. Trying to think in other locations. Yeah, so the amphitheater seating would be black locust.
The play scrambles, are those black locust or those?
Oh, yep. Those as well. So anywhere where we have the stumps going into the ground, that would be the black locust. Yep. The ash can only be on the granite or the asphalt surfaces.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And Mr. Barrett also asked about project start dates. That really does depend on if we have students come back to the buildings. If students are back in the buildings, we don't start construction until the end of school when they're released, so that we're not impeding play and access to the building. So we do have 2 calendars at MPS, early start and traditional. So early start kids will be getting out early in May. Traditional gets out in mid-June. So if MPS is still virtual, there is the potential that we could start construction earlier than the end of school. And so that's kind of a to be determined. Specifically though, we do tend to have all of our projects start at the end of school and substantially complete by the beginning of school, so kids have access to their playground and parking and safety features. So there is that piece. And when the bids are due in February, these bids contracts awarded will go to the March board. So we will have, if we get really great competitive bids and within our budgets, which are secured, it would be awarded in the March board. So if you're planning for your summer, contract would be awarded preliminarily after bids are due in February and March, and then approved it at the March board, you would get a notice to proceed probably before that to start, securing materials and things, but it would be a March board for contract award.
I would like to clarify one thing. So all of the asphalt removal, I do have a note saying that sub-base can remain in like the sod areas. But in areas where we have any kind of planted areas, we'll have to remove all of that we need 12 inches of topsoil in these locations. Under sod, we only need 4 inches, but keep in mind that sod has a depth to it as well. So we don't want to have this we want to be able to get the water to flow onto the sod location. So even though you can keep the base in this location, you may have to kind of move it around so that you can get 4 inches of topsoil and the sod placed on top of that native material, if that makes sense.
We don't want the sod being a barrier to the flow because it's sitting up higher than the.
Yes.
Great.
And we are trying to manage fill on site. There's some locations like Bayview currently where it's not all being managed on site because of just, the space available and how much we're removing. However, if we're removing that alternate, we may be able to put a little bit more here in this location. So we'll try to work on that. But like AAL, I know is pretty cut fill, net zero, and Fratney is pretty close. There's some, obviously some sub-base that needs to be removed for Fratney. Allen Fields, we may need to, you'll have to remove some of the sub-base, but a lot of that too, we're trying to manage on site. We do have that fill location there. But for North Division, everything will have to be kind of taken off site. We don't have any fill locations on that one. Just as saying, yes, call attention to quantities listed on the plan docs. We do have on the legend and notes page a little table of some of the quantities that we put together. However, please still check quantities on, but it's there to kind of help you, to kind of help distinguish between what's in the base bid, what's in the alternate. So that's for your use. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have anything else to add.
Thank you. Will MPS mark private lines? No. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone again for their time. Again, check AE Graphics, submit questions to the procurement mailbox, reach out to Kara with some of the design questions, and she'll make them available to us as well. They should all, make its way to the AE Graphics Q&A. We'll have those updated sheets on the striping and Bayview shortly, and 9 o'clock at Allen Field for those who want to take a look at that door. Or the courtyard. I mean, obviously, if you want to look at the courtyard too, it'll be available for viewing this Thursday at 9. We'll meet at the front of the building, and then if there are a lot of people, we'll just, like I said, go in 3 or 4 at a time. We won't wait outside. We can wait, indoors in the warmth. But I'll see you on 9 o'clock then. And again, thank you for your time and interest. And I hope to see some really great bids from y'all. A couple weeks. Very exciting project. Culmination of 3 years of work, so it's just very exciting. Kara or Justin, anything else?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Right. Thank you. Stay warm.
No.
Thank you.